Good afternoon from the KUOW newsroom. This is Seattle Now. I'm Paige Browning with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Tuesday, August 26th. Alarm bells are ringing through King County's government over a scathing new audit. The report by county auditors found unapproved payments to contractors and potential fraud by the Department of Community and Human Services. Put plainly, Auditor Kimber Waltmanson said she's alarmed by the lack of financial oversight at DCHS. That agency contracts with groups that work with youth that haven't worked closely with governments before.
Innovation in government to better serve the community is positive. The concern is that DCHS made these policy choices without installing a safety net to monitor whether the funds were being used appropriately.
That allowed improper payments like $38,000 for a contractor's travel scheduled after the contract ended, and questionable invoices from contractors, including one that was altered to add $6,000 to the county's bill. Since 2020, the agency's biennial grant awards jumped from $22 million to $1.5 billion. Department head Kelly Ryder says DCHS will carry out auditors' recommendations to improve staffing, training, and policies. Organizers behind Capitol Hill Pride are calling on Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell to revoke the permit for a rally slated to be held at Gasworks Park on Saturday. As Noelle Gasca reports, the group says the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric shared by the event's leader is a safety threat to the community.
Saturday's Let Us Worship, Revive in 2025 event will be hosted by Sean Foyt, a Christian nationalist. Foyt originally planned to host the event at Cal Anderson Park. The city issued a permit for the event after Harrell and Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth worked with organizers to suggest alternative park locations.
The very fact that our own mayor and our own city are allowing this, or essentially sanctioning hate speech, is incredibly irresponsible.
That's Capitol Hill Pride Director Charlotte Lefevre at City Hall earlier today. A spokesperson for Harrell says under the First Amendment, the city cannot decline a permit based on the anticipated message of the event or the views of the organizers. Noelle Gasca, KUOW News.
In environment news, Washington state officials say they are protecting more than 70,000 acres of older forests on state land from logging. Dave Upthegrove is Commissioner of Public Lands.
What we're doing today is the largest forest conservation action in Washington in a generation.
Upthegrove's executive order covers what are called structurally complex forests. They have most of the habitat value of old-growth forests, but aren't quite that old yet. The executive order would allow logging to go forward on about 30,000 other acres of those almost old-growth forests. State officials say that timber harvest levels and the revenue that goes to schools and counties would not be affected. Industry officials say timber harvests would inevitably fall and that a legal challenge is likely. We're still under a heat advisory until 8 p.m. across the greater Seattle area, so keep hydrated and keep out of direct heat as much as possible. That's the advice of forecasters and health officials. Relief is coming. Overnight lows are expected to drop to 65 degrees, but the Seattle area will stay 5 to 10 degrees warmer than normal for the rest of the week, according to the National Weather Service. East of us, there's moderate to major heat risk through Wednesday from Wenatchee to Spokane. The high temperatures and dry conditions we've been experiencing since this weekend are just the latest in what's shaping up to be a very dry year. KNKX reporter Bellamy Palethorpe has an update.
It started in early April when normal amounts of precipitation just didn't show up. That lack of rain has continued ever since.
Basically, this summer has been really dry, and we've seen a lot of increases in drought severity and extent.
Larry O'Neill is Oregon's state climatologist. He gave an update during the bi-monthly webinar hosted by NOAA and others about conditions for agriculture and the climate. He says in late June, about 48% of the Pacific Northwest was in some form of drought.
Fast forward 2 months, and currently 81% of the Pacific Northwest is in some form of drought.
O'Neill says the resulting record-low stream flows are putting pressure on agriculture and some municipal water supplies. I'm Bellamy Palethorpe reporting.
Eats has agreed to pay more than $15 million to Seattle delivery drivers for violating local labor laws. It'll be shared between about 1,600 drivers. The Seattle Times reports most of the settlement comes in response to claims that Uber's Boost program made earnings look higher than they really were. Uber denied breaking the rules, but settled the case anyway. It's the largest settlement to date by Seattle's Office of Labor Standards. In voting news, Washington's top election official is defending the state's vote-by-mail system, even as President Trump repeats his calls for banning the practice. Trump has called it corrupt, without citing evidence. But Washington Secretary of State Steve Hobbs says the amount of voting fraud is minuscule, and there's already a process to make sure only citizens are voting.
If somebody's accused of being, let's say, a non-citizen, that goes before the county auditor, which convenes a canvassing board, and then that in turn gets turned to the county prosecutor if need be. So there is a process.
Hobbs also points out that the president does not have the constitutional authority to end mail-in voting. Some good food news. A UW study has found that Seattle's Fresh Bucks program helps low-income families actually eat more fresh produce. Ruby DeLuna reports.
Researchers found that families enrolled in Fresh Bucks consumed at least 3 daily servings of fruits and vegetables. Each month, participants receive $40 to buy fresh produce at more than 40 retailers and farmers markets in Seattle. That includes Golden Hong in the Chinatown International District, which offers culturally appropriate foods.
We heard a lot of good feedback.
Carrie Wong with the Chinese Information and Service Center says the location also makes shopping easier, especially for seniors.
It's like an exercise for them. And they could hang out and they could get together and head out to the grocery store together.
More than 12,000 households are enrolled in Fresh Bucks. Funding comes from the city's soda tax revenue. Ruby DeLuna, KUOW News.
Before we go, I'll leave you with these tidbits: dogs on ferries and build-it-yourself furniture. As for the latter, Swedish furniture giant IKEA says it's opening a new location in Redmond. But not like the warehouse it's got in Renton. The Seattle Times reports it's a pickup-only location. As for dog news, new this week, dog owners may bring their well-behaved dogs onto all passenger areas of Washington state ferries. They have to be leashed and can go anywhere but the food galleys. Ferry officials will review the trial policy next year. Next time on Seattle Now, Kroger has announced multiple closures in the Seattle area. They listed theft as one of the main reasons, and shoppers can see the impact of anti-theft measures at Fred Meyer.
Particularly Fred Meyer, you will see that a lot of the stuff is locked up. Things where you have to find an associate, a sales associate to, and I think that's one of the issues they face is if I'm a customer in the store and I have to ask an associate to get some cosmetics or whatever, I might just go shop somewhere else.
Hear more from Seattle Times business reporter Paul Roberts Wednesday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst, and I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See ya.